Episode 86 here with my boy Elmy. We're going to talk the big fight tonight. Before we get there, I wanted to ask my boy Israel Jonathan got knocked out yet again. I wanted to ask you about his career trajectory in your opinion.
Honestly, from the outside looking in, but still kind of fighting to an extent and stuff like that. It's MMA, in my opinion. I mean, it's rare for a guy to be undefeated, like, or have be 20 plus 0 with no losses. So I mean, I feel as though he's all right. This MMA,
Okay. I say it's
it's
time to hang
MMA.
it up, but yeah. Yeah.
You think it's time to hang it up?
So getting into the big fight,
I mean, what's his
I
record
think
though?
it's time to hang it up.
But what's his record
I
though?
think this is about his sixth loss. I'm not sure what the win is obviously super heavy. He's a Hall of Famer, but the losses, I think this is probably his
Are
fifth or
piling up on
sixth
the back
loss.
end of his
And out of
career.
his last, what happened?
The back end of his career, the losses are piling up.
Your audio is messing up again, folks.
Hold on.
But I was saying, out of his last few
My
matches,
signal
he
is
suffered some
horrible.
heavy losses, including getting knocked out a few times. And at this time, you wonder if it's
Can you hear me?
I don't even want to put it in the atmosphere, but you wonder if it's, your body's so used to getting knocked out that, you start to develop a glass chin. You know what I mean? Before he wasn't getting hit like that. Now he's getting hit way more often. You saw the shot he got hit with today. It just seemed like it wasn't a luck shot. It was a well-timed, perfect shot. But it was almost like a younger Izzy would have saw that coming and would have made the adjustments to not allow that opening like that. So he's leaving himself open for more shots, and now that he's getting hit with more of those shots, it's coming at a devastating cost. So my personal opinion is need to hang it up. Y'all let me know in the comments, and when my boy Elmy
Can you
get
hear me?
back, I know y'all love seeing him.
Oh
But
shit.
we're gonna get his opinion on it. But y'all let me know in the comments if y'all feel like Israel Donazé need to hang it up, where he should go from here, things for that nature, and we go forward. Nah, club. Hood up to the McDonald's Wi-Fi over there. No, we can't hear you. Elmy's recording failed. Damn, the recording has stopped, but everything up until now has been saved. Damn, that's crazy as fuck. See, sometimes you have to deal with stuff like this. You know what I mean? It ain't pretty, but we just got to deal with it. But the big fight that we're going to talk about when we finally get my boy back in a conductive manner is the David Benavidez versus David Morrell fight. Obviously, it's a title eliminator for the winner. The winner of this fight will face the winner of Arturo Brodrick versus Dimitri Bivol, which is another big fight that's coming up on February 2nd. Y'all go tune in. If buying the fight is what y'all do, then go ahead and purchase that fight. If not buying the fight, some of you don't do, hey man, at least you're putting forth the effort to watch it and cheering on elite athletes do their thing. Sure. They say take two.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good.
Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I can't see you for some reason. But it's
Yeah,
cool though.
for sure. So, getting right into it, I want to ask you, David Benavidez is known for his relentless pressure, while Morrell has elite footwork and counterpunching. Who do you think will control the pace, and could you see Benavidez struggling to cut a smooth fighter like Morrell off?
That's the question. That's the big question right there. So, to be honest, can he cut the ring off? I think he can. I don't think it's as easy as people think as it used to be at the weight class he was at prior, you
True,
know? So that's why
true.
you don't see him like, oh my God, he's devastating because it's a little heavier. The guys are heavier. Their jab is a little harder. They can keep him at bay and move around a little bit better because, they're not, angst with pressure, you know?
Right.
So with that being said, I still like Benavidez. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be a great fight. I'll say that. I'm almost on the fence. But if I had to choose and put money, like,
Well, before you
had to.
get there, let me ask you a few more questions about it. So, all right. So, if Morrell pulls off the upset, Do you think it kills the hype for a Benavidez versus Canelo fight, or does it actually make Morrell the bigger threat to Canelo if they choose to go there?
Then he'd probably fight Benavidez. Canelo, that
Yeah,
honest,
that's what
I
I'm
was
talking.
just thinking that, and I was like gonna mention that, and I was like, now Canelo will probably fight. I'm not saying Canelo's scared, but or
Yeah,
fight or fight Morrell. He'd rather lose to Morrell, I guess. I don't know.
I feel that. I feel that.
It could go
I
so
don't.
he could end up fighting Crawford. We still don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say they say Canelo find somebody obviously on Mexican Independence Day. I think May 5th, I believe it is. So you got to see. They say it's gonna be an undefeated fighter. Both of these guys undefeated. So I don't think he's hinting at that, but we'll see how it goes, and then maybe fighting Crawford in September. Last question about second to last question about Benavidez versus Morrell. Benavidez has been labeled the Mexican monster, but Morrell has been calling for this fight with confidence. Does he see something in Benavidez's style you think that he can exploit, or why do you think he's so confident in the situation?
A little bit of everything. He's coming to win. He's a guy that wants to be champion, wants to be great, just like him. So he's coming in like, who's gonna beat me? Mentality.
Mm,
One. Two, this is a status fight. So even if you don't feel like you're better, this is the fight to win because this leads to better, either better fights, and even if you lose, more paydays because you put up a great fight and they know, you know, you're one of the top guys.
yeah,
So there's a lot riding on this fight, and honestly, what imagine if Canelo picked Morrell over David Benavidez and said, "This is who you picked," and then gets the 200 million to go out with a bang against Morrell.
yeah. I feel
So,
that.
so I mean, honestly, a lot can happen. We don't know until time unravels. But honestly, though, Benavidez, he looked good his last fight. I think maybe he's filling out more in that weight division. So
Yeah,
he'll have more power, is why I choose Benavidez to win the fight. Because the last fight, off the last fight when he fought David Benavidez last fight, he looked good. He still won, but the guy was boxing, able to use his jab, use his feet. Like he gave David Benavidez a hard time. He didn't look like the Mexican monster. He just looked like the pressure fighter Benavidez.
yeah,
It went from monster to the brawler.
yeah,
Because of the weight class change. So, but with that being said, now he's been there now, so now he can naturally walk and fight around that weight more naturally,
true.
which is why I give him the advantage. Yeah, that's why I give him the advantage of the
Yeah,
experience that he has there. That's the same reason why I called Crawford over Spence. Was that for that same exact reason? Earl Spence waited too long, kind of like a moment thing where you get him when they're. He probably still couldn't beat him. Not saying he could have, but there was a moment where you know he had a higher chance
yeah,
because Crawford was coming in smaller, and that's the same thing I think for Benavidez. He's growing in a little more earlier though. Benavidez could have waited one fight, but Benavidez loves big fights, man. So, and Morrell's a
yeah,
great fighter, and it's a big fight regardless. I'm really on the fence, but I'm leaning towards Benavidez is my final answer, because I mean he he got experience at that weight, and he's gonna be a bully, and big guys are easier to gas out. So I mean, I always put a bunch of factors together when I pick my picks.
yeah,
It has to be more than one factor. It can't just be all factors. They both look great. They both look in shape. They're both motivated to fight. Big fight. Whoever wins this could get Canelo or move on to better things. Arturo better beat Ev versus Bivol, the guy that beat Canelo, and then say I beat the guy that beat Canelo. Like I'm better than him, and then that's a
yeah,
whole run of words right there. So I mean, it could flip flop the Canelo way or go the Bivol and better beat Ev way.
yeah. I also want to highlight just for people watching and the fans and things of that nature. It is essentially a title contender match. So the winner of this match is going to go on to face the winner of Arturo Brodrick versus Dimitri Bivol, which again is coming up on February 22nd, like I mentioned before. David Benavidez is 29-0. David Morrell is 11-0. But I'm sure he has an extensive Cuban fighters like to do that. But moving on to another fight, since we got my boy Answer, he's going with David Benavidez.
Yes,
If
sir.
y'all care about my pick right now, for some reason, someone's telling me to go with Morrell, so I'm gonna go with Morrell in the
I like
fight.
that. Not a bad pick because Morrell can box, and if he could keep him at bay, which he kind of been, and he has better boxing ability than Benavidez' last opponent, and he was able to box, give him a good little boxing session at that fight. So I understand that the boxing ability, but where I could take is he's gathered himself at that weight to become the Mexican monster again.
Yeah,
The monster could come out now. Whereas it was harder. Like if maybe if he would have fought Morrell last fight, that was like
yeah,
it's been a while, you know.
yeah.
So
And
and
also
Benavidez
Morrell
looked
can
heavy.
crack too.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Now I'm just
Morrell
saying
can
Morrell
crack.
can crack too. Like
Yeah,
he got power too. But
and they're
let's
big
see. So
guys. They're big guys. They
yeah,
fall down easier because of the punching power, the weight
yeah.
class.
So I wouldn't call it. Yeah, I would say the co-main is Brandon Figueroa versus Stephen Fulton. So their first fight was a razor close war. With many believing Figueroa did just enough to win, do you think Fulton will adjust and make it more decisive, or is Figueroa's pressure style just a nightmare matchup for him?
That's a good question. Fulton versus Figueroa. He's trying to bounce back, get back up the rankings against Stephen Fulton. He has to. I'll tell you that much, because they'll start how you said Izzy. They'll start
Yeah,
looking at him the same exact way.
yeah,
Like, yeah, buddy. Like in a way, like it's just like okay, no. In a way, just established himself as the guy at
yeah,
that weight class. Where
yeah.
Stephen Fulton is a redemption fight, so he has to. Brandon Figueroa is a great pressure fighter, great pressure fighter. Wow, I think so. I guess I'll go with Stephen Fulton. I think I can do it. It was a close fight last time. Yeah, I got Stephen Fulton because he's the boxer, so you give him a second chance. If he looked bad the first time, he knows what to adjust on. He knows what's coming. Like, oh man, I'm gonna have to take their shots, so I know what's coming. I know how hard they come. I have nothing to be afraid of. Like mentality is what it kind of grows into, usually most of the time. So, not most of the time, but it
So
happens with boxers a lot versus brawlers.
So let me ask you this, and from what I'm about to ask you, it seems similar to what you just mentioned about David Benavidez versus David Morrell. So
Yes.
Fulton has spent time at featherweight while Figueroa has grown into the division. Who do you think benefits more from fighting at 126, and could size or strength be the deciding factor this time?
See, you know why it's different though between Figueroa and them, and then the
Benavidez?
David Benavidez is a brawling power puncher with hand, right? Brandon Figueroa don't got power like Benavidez does. So that's where the difference is. But you are right. The situation is the same. But you see where I pick him is because there's more factors.
Mm,
With that, and David Benavidez loves to fight. So he's going. It's either he's putting you on the shield, or you better box him long enough for him, or put him on his shield. Like put him on the floor, because he's
hmm
not going to not brawl with you.
Yeah,
So that's one thing. Heavier guys tend to get tired faster. Two,
yeah,
heavier guys get tired faster. Like, lasting those rounds is not as easy. And not as
yeah,
many punches are thrown as the lower divisions.
yeah,
So that's why I choose David Benavidez over the boxer this time. But this is rarity because I did choose David Benavidez over Caleb Plant as well because I knew it was just going to be too overwhelming. He'll just be
mm,
overbearing, and that's what it'll be. But he has
yeah,
he has special, FX superpowers. Some people have stamina, some people have punching power, some people have, defense, certain attributes that just stand out like that are just like prolific. He's
yeah.
I've
He has an
seen him
elite
love
trait.
blood in the ring.
Yeah,
We've seen it.
yeah.
He loves it.
Yeah, I seen that fight too, and most people would have had Caleb Plant winning the first half of that fight, but then it just
And I
seemed like
did.
the guy who was,
Fade away.
yeah, the guy who was
Fade
just bigger
away.
and stronger just started to. It seemed like
Overbearing.
that shit started to hurt, like it wore him
Pressure.
down.
Pressure,
Yeah,
pressure. The pressure got to him. His feet were slowing up. He got tired. His legs couldn't go forever. It was too much pressure on his legs.
yeah. So my last question about the Brandon Figueroa versus Stephen Fulton too. Given the bad blood and controversy from their first fight, do you think this rematch would be more brutal, and could you see one of them get stopped this time around?
It's possible. I do see more comfortableness. Somebody's going to be very comfortable in the ring. Winner's gonna be
Mm,
the most comfortable, of course, because they fought already. They know how hard they're coming, and if they do get better, which they probably will, they're a smidge better. Once you're up in the rankings, you do get better over time, or you do get older, so you learn new stuff like new combinations. You're not the young buck, so you're not the fastest no more. You gotta learn timing. So that's like part of the game. It's just like basketball, like the Kobe's and the Jordans, they all dunking LeBrons, they all dunking at the beginning of the league, and then you got to learn
yeah,
the fadeaway shot.
yeah, for sure. Facts.
So fighters, a lot of people don't look at it like that, but like that's the same thing as well. Like, okay, I'm moving into other weight classes. Floyd was so perfect at that too. Like, oh, okay, I'm moving to other weight classes. Like, I know what's real, what's fake. Can't nobody tell me because I'm the one putting in the work. I literally do boxing every day. I was born into a boxing family. I got none but
Yeah,
world champions and contenders in my family.
yeah,
I'm a contender by default, dang near.
facts.
Daddy fought legends. Uncle was a world champion and fought legends.
Yeah, I mean, so I feel you on that one. You. So just to be clear, who are you going with in the Brandon Figueroa versus Fulton? I believe you said Fulton, but I want to ask you again so we can be clear.
I think Fulton can outbox him. I'm going 60-40. Another great fight, though. This is a great fight in boxing, believe it or not. Like, a lot of people don't know that. Like, this is like one of the fights. Like, even if they're not as the Canelos or the Javantes, like, these are the
Mm,
other good fights. Like, for,
yeah,
or the guys that are challenging other rankings for the
yeah,
stuff like that. And this is a good, evenly matched grudge match. So, but I think I got Stephen Fulton.
for
But if
sure.
Stephen Fulton loses, I'm gonna think how you think of Israel Adesanya. Me, I still give them leeway because it's MMA and he's with heavier
Yeah,
guys. They're not scared of that, you know,
yeah,
style to an extent. Unless you're like, a guy that's naturally at that weight doing that same style. The
yeah,
weight starts getting overbearing. Like a lot of people, like weight classes really is a thing.
yeah. Just go take it back real quick. I'll come by the MMA. Even though Israel's been losing, I do think this completely take John Jones off the table. But MMA is a little bit different. You will see they legends after a couple losses and stuff like that still get into big fights and stuff like that. I think that'll be a huge fight for MMA if it ever comes to happen. I doubt it because John Jones seems like he wants Alex Pereira at this point, but we'll see how it goes.
That'd
But
be a
another
crazy
real
fight.
interesting fight is somebody that I mean, he lost his last fight, but he was recently a champion after taking it from Rolando Romero. Was the Isaac Cruz versus Angel Fiera fight? So Cruz is known for his explosive come forward style. He's a Mexican fighter, while Fiera has shown grit and knockout power. Do you think Fierro has the tools to handle Cruz's relentless pressure, or is he walking into a firefight he can't win?
They both have a chance. That's another good fight. May the best strong man win. I got Cruz though. I got Cruz. Happen. It can happen. I still got Cruz though. I'm with the betting favorites as well. Cruz is gonna be relentless, make it into a war. He's not gonna stop unless you stop him as well. He's another one. He's another little monster. He for real. I mean, you seen it. We see it. Even in his losses, like all they did was like I mean, I'll box him. I love the style. I'm just saying, like that's all they did. Like he coming to
Yeah,
die. He coming to kill,
yeah.
and he'll die in the process.
I feel you. So, well, shit, I don't feel that, but I feel niggas that do that. But,
Some people don't believe in overtime in boxing.
yeah,
Believe it or not, they say I get paid the same amount of money whether this ends in the 12th or the first. Let me make it the first.
I feel it. So, before we get you up out of here, and we go ahead and get this posted and get people's reactions and their predictions and things, I want to
Hmm.
ask you about another fight, another fight on the card featuring a prospect. You mentioned Floyd before. It's something that you mentioned that because we're about to talk about his number one prospect, Carmel Moten. So Carmel Moten is one of the most hyped prospects in boxing, but Zaldivar comes in with more pro experience. Do you think Moten's talent is enough to overcome that, or could this be a real test for him?
Real test. It's a good test for him. He's still young. He's like 18. He's 19. Maybe not over 22.
Yeah,
So he got time to just vibe. But Floyd gonna put him in pressure fights, but not enough to, I believe. Why would you? Not enough to bury him and get him out of there. I mean, what promoter would do that unless money?
yeah,
If it ain't money, they gon' they not trying to lose neither. So I think Floyd is picking the right fights for him. I think he's doing what he needs to do. He did it with Tank. I mean, Tank was already pro when he got him, but he took him in the pre-prospect ranks. So I
yeah.
mean, he's gonna do his best to get Carmel over the hump. He's gonna do his best. So I think Carmel's in good hands, and I think Carmel wins. But I think he gives them the right test to make it look good. Make the right test to make it look good, so the fans don't be like, "You fought bums," and call it what it is. What it is. Did you see that card? Do you see the people he's fighting? Because social media
Yeah,
they'll call out, and then people will try to use that now. Like when it comes to the wars between the promoters.
so let me ask you. Speaking of that, there's two more questions about this, and this is one of the first one. Obviously, Saldivar is an undefeated fighter with nothing to lose. So, do you think he can expose any weaknesses, or do you think this is another showcase fight for the prospect of the protege of Floyd Mayweather?
It's for the protege of Floyd Mayweather.
All right, I feel you.
I mean, like, are like, I mean,
All right, so let me ask you: do you feel like have you? I don't, how many times you watch Carmel fight and things of that nature. Have you seen something you think he can tighten up? Something that that maybe the opponent was specifically fixed to help Carmel deal with it in live action and things of that nature. I heard Floyd say that's how his team used to pick his fighters in the beginning, the people who would face if he had a certain weakness and he wanted to work on it in live action, he would pick the opponents like that. Of course, they're still game people, but you know.
hmm
So, do you think Carmel needs to work on something specifically that you've seen, or
no, he's a
is
solid
just
fighter. He's still young. He's growing. He's in a good spot. And we just gotta watch him progress. I mean, they're gonna progress when they're in the 2-0s, 3-0s, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights. You'll see a difference if you look back at anybody's career, unless they just had it, like, and they were just going monstrous, which they do a lot of the times. Most fighters get better over time, like most people do in any craft that they choose or any job that they take. Any career path that they choose. The more you use it, the better you are. More, in
yeah.
anything. So he just has to stay the path. He's already solid, complete fighter. He just has to get better with experience. Maybe use the jab more. That's it.
I feel it. I feel it. And again, before we get out of here, I want to ask you to briefly, because we're going to touch on it later on. So just briefly, how do you feel about Floyd Schofield locking in with Shakur? Briefly. You ain't got to give a full breakdown, because I'm going to ask you about it later.
I got Shakur. I think Schofield. No, honestly, Schofield, give him like 4 more fights. Then he's
Yeah.
ready for them, like, to beat. Like, if I'm training him, in my personal opinion, if I was training Floyd Schofield, I'm not a trainer though. But if I was
Hmm.
training him, and this is my kid, but they might see something. You got to be in the camps with them too. But I would say in the fights, I say, man, 4 fights, 3, 4 fights, like a legitimate shot to beat Tank or beat a what's it called? I just think he relies on his athleticism a little too much, and he
Yeah.
needs a little few more layers in his game. That's all it is. But like a legitimate shot to beat him, he has the athleticism and the capabilities, and he got sneaky, nice power. He got a good little pop to him. I just think Shakur will just keep the distance, and he'll get confused, and then be trying to switch from lefty to righty, and then just be confused too much, and then it'll make him worse because Shakur picks the holes on both sides of the game when he keeps switching, and then Tank will just
Yeah.
pick
pick the in betweens because I think he relies on his athleticism too much.
Yeah. Are you talking about Floyd?
Yeah, Floyd Schofield.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah, I've been
for
talking
sure.
about Floyd the whole time because you brought him up, so I'm just like
No,
he's
I
with the
heard you.
Shakur.
You just said Tank. You said Tank at the end there, so I was just making
Yeah,
sure.
Tank, Shakur. Like I'm talking about the top guys, like the Tanks,
Yeah.
the Shakurs. Like I'm talking about for both, like equally. Like
Oh, okay.
he need like 3 to 5 to compete, in my opinion, with Tiafimo, Shakur, Devin,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like make two, not like maybe not 4 or 5, like 2 more.
Yeah.
Get like 2 more good little fights in, and they not even little fights. It's like good big tough fights, but
Yeah.
that's up to their team and stuff. I don't just I mean, unless you're trying to grab, if it's Tank, you're gonna have to take the fight. I mean, there's too much
Yeah.
money to pass up. You can, if money ain't your, you know what I'm saying, and you got
Yeah.
it like that.
I think Floyd. It was the maybe even one more fight before this guy, but I think it could have been the perfect time to face Frank Martin at this point. But maybe get in and do something against Shakur. But we'll talk about it later on. But for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, appreciate you stopping by. Like my dog said, he got Benavidez, he has Fulton, he got Pitbull Crew, and of course he taking Carmel in this fight. And we go forward from there. We ball. Appreciate you.
Alrighty.